Watching News at Prime, let's get into this conversation now. The African Union's African Peer Review Mechanism is accusing Fitch ratings agency of attempting to manipulate South Africa's internal politics. It follows the ratings agency's statement suggesting that an ANC-DA coalition could help the country's credit profile. Let's speak about this now. We're joined by the APRM's Dr. Misheck Mutize, who joins us in studio. Dr. Mutize, good evening to you, and thank you very much for your time. Let's begin with the APRM's routine analysis and commentary of international credit ratings agencies. You say that you do this on behalf of the African Union member states. Let's understand that mandate and why it is that the AU has mandated the APRM to conduct such analysis.
Well, thank you very much for inviting me on behalf of the African Peer Review Mechanism. It's a very, very fundamental question you are asking, why we are doing this work. As outlined in our statements and most of the analysis that we do, we get our mandate directly from the heads of state and government, which is at the Assembly of the African Union. And in 2017, they decided that the African Peer Review Mechanism, which is an autonomous entity of the African Union, should undertake the mandate to support countries to improve their ratings. This is when they realized that there's been a general decline in the credit ratings of African governments on the background that in their view, there are so many fundamentals that are improving, but right. On the other side, the ratings are declining.
And then in comes the Fitch ratings agency's analysis and comments about South Africa's political environment right now. What specifically is of a huge problem for the African peer review mechanism?
Well, let me use this opportunity to outline that we are not enemies with rating agencies. We engage with them as part of our ongoing mechanisms of support to governments, and also try to bridge the gap that they should converse more with governments than they were doing before. And coming to this issue, why we think this is problematic, it is important to acknowledge that financial markets, which is a debate that is very familiar to South Africa because of the capacity of the market, they are an arena of opinions, and investors, rightly so, trade on opinions. Yeah. So if such an influential institution, which in our view should operate independently without any a connotation of bias, issues such an opinion, investors view it as a credible source of information, and such information could sway markets in an unfavorable way. Yeah. And we believe that whatever the outcome of the ongoing negotiation could be, if it's not what Fitch views could be favorable outcome, it is likely to take a negative rating action against South Africa.
For a viewer who may not understand the importance, or should we say the influence of ratings agencies like Fitch on the global markets, how big an influence do they have, and why does the African Union need to worry?
Well, it's very important for an ordinary citizen to understand that whatever action that a rating agency takes, it affects everyone, because if such an opinion is negative, it has a direct impact on the cost of borrowing of every citizen and every entity that is in debt, because it increases when a rating agency say the risk of a country or an institution has increased. from the trade-off of risk and return, it means the cost of borrowing should also increase.
Yeah.
And if you are in debt, it means you have to pay more for the same amount of debt. I'm sure you understand why there is so much concern on, from the African Union perspective, because a big chunk of our revenues, to the tune of more than 30%, is going towards paying only interest, not even the actual debt that governments have borrowed.
Yeah.
So internally, we can say that it also diverts resources from expenditures that are aimed at supporting the socio-economic development of a government towards paying debts and recurring expenditures.
In your statement, you say the timing of the commentary by Fitch is made worse by the fact that these remarks are issued in the middle of ongoing political negotiations.
Absolutely.
Spell that out for us. What
Absolutely.
is it that you are most concerned about there?
Yes, because if you read the statement by Fitch, it is there are several sections in which they point out the words "we think." We mean, in the analyst's view, we think, we suggest, and we believe. So to us also, this is very, very fundamental, because their statement clearly imply that the most favorable outcome of the negotiation, in their view, any arrangement, be it in the form of a coalition or a GNU, which involves the DA, will allow whoever is the sitting president to have some policy continuity, and it will delay the implementation of the national health insurance. And also they pointed out that it's likely to enhance fiscal consolidation, because the Democratic Alliance is going to curtail areas of interest that other parties could be, like increasing the social grant. And in their view, what we found to be very politically suggestive is characterizing the other two parties, like the MK and EFF, as populist parties that have radical agendas. So we thought that such an interpretation of a situation that is still under negotiation, without even understanding what will be the resultant policy position, is very prejudicial and detrimental to the possibilities that could come out of the negotiations.
In the APRM's views, firstly, have you had an engagement with Fitch about their statement or statements? And add to that, what is it that you would want to see them do going forward? Would you want for them to withdraw what they have put out? I'm trying to understand the way forward.
Well, in other words, you are saying what is the end goal of why we are pushing towards this. Like I said in the beginning, we engage with the rating agencies, all of them. They even give us access to their analysts if we have some clarity that we seek from them. But why it was important for us to issue this statement is because of what I mentioned in the beginning, that the markets are an arena of opinion. So what we are doing is to say, investors, you have received information from Fitch, which is cautioning that if the outcome of the negotiations are swayed towards a certain direction, you should discount more risk into your investment position. So we are bringing information also to the market to say, no, this is political interference. Look at the bigger picture, because this is a process of compromises and negotiating what will be the best position for the citizens that voted for all those political parties. Yeah. So what we intend to achieve is that, number one, we have been raising severally that rating agencies should get more acquainted with the context of Africa. Fitch, or in the case of Fitch, that commentary is coming out of Hong Kong. All the three analysts are based in Hong Kong. And we were concerned, which we raised also with the authorities in that entity, that they divested out of South Africa, which was the only office they had in Africa. They closed the office and relocated the analyst out of Africa. When they continued to issue such determinative conclusions and announcements. So we think that if more of their analysts were based in Africa, their context of interpretation would have been more informed rather than pessimistic and conservative.
Yeah. What would the best way to counter the view of ratings agencies such as Fitch? Would the solution not be for the African Union to support an African ratings agency that would perhaps be more credible in the eyes of the African Union?
Well, you rightly pointed out the direction that the African Union is taking, that given that the big three rating agencies, as some analysts could call them, Fitch, Moody's, and S&P, they have been taking over some of the smaller rating agencies that are based in Africa. So it's as part of the long-term strategy for the African Union, it's important to also support an establishment of an institution that could also offer opinion. Not describing it as more credible opinions, but a more comprehensive opinion, given that they would put more effort in areas that the big three might be, discounting or underrating.
Yeah.
So we are in the process of establishing an African credit rating agency. As the APRM were facilitating the process, which was a process that was instructed by ministers of finance. By consensus, all ministers of finance of the African Union have taken that position, that we need an African credit rating agency. Not to replace the big three, because they've got an established role, and also that, they've been around for so long. So we are undertaking this process just to provide an alternative opinion to international investors. And, as you know, investors are looking for any source of information. And if this one issues information that could be of interest to investors, they will obviously pay attention to it.
All right. Dr. Misheck Mutize, let me thank you very much for your time.